Okay, when you think anglerfish, what comes to mind? Probably that classic image, right? A terrifying mouth just full of those gnarly teeth and that glowing lure dangling there in the pitch black. Yeah, total deep-sea nightmare fuel. But you know, the most fascinating and honestly, the most bizarre secret about the anglerfish, it isn't how it hunts, it's how it loves.
So let's really dive into this. Try to picture it. You're down in the deep sea, what they call the midnight zone. Sunlight? Nope. It can't even get down there. It's just this vast, cold, empty, pitch black space. I mean, we're talking about the planet's single largest ecosystem, and finding a mate, it's got to be one of the biggest challenges any animal could ever face. So how on earth do some anglerfish pull off what seems like an impossible task?
Well, the answer is it's stranger than any sci-fi movie you could dream up. We're not talking about a brief encounter here. For certain anglerfish, the male finds a female and that's it. Game over. He literally fuses with her, becoming a permanent part of her body. Forever. And this isn't just some, quirky behavior. No way. This is a dedicated evolutionary strategy. Scientists even have a name for it: sexual parasitism. And believe me, it is one of the most extreme forms of reproduction in the entire animal kingdom. So let's break down exactly how this all works.
I mean, the difference between the guys and gals here is, it's just staggering. It's a textbook example of what scientists call extreme sexual dimorphism. So you've got the female, right? The classic monster we all picture. She's huge, she's got the lure, she's a hunting machine. And then you have the male. He can be as tiny as 6 millimeters long. 6! He has no lure, no giant mouth, he can't even hunt. His one superpower? An absolutely incredible sense of smell. From the moment he's born, he's basically helpless on his own.
Now you can imagine, figuring all this out wasn't exactly straightforward. For nearly a century, the male anglerfish was like a ghost to science. It was this fascinating scientific mystery that took decades to finally unravel.
So for most of the 1800s, this was a massive puzzle. Researchers kept finding these big female anglerfish, but where were the males? They'd find these tiny little fish swimming around sometimes, but they just figured, oh, that's a different species. Then, get this, in 1922, a biologist finds a tiny fish stuck to a female's belly and assumes it's her baby. Makes sense, right? But it wasn't until 1924 that a scientist named Charles Tate Regan actually dissected one of these attached fish and had that aha moment. This wasn't her child, it was her mate. The missing males had been there the whole time, hiding in plain sight.
So how does this bizarre fusion actually happen? It's a one-way trip for the male, a process that completely transforms him from a free-swimming fish into, well, a permanent part of the female.
Okay, so here's how it goes down. Step 1 is the search. The male uses that amazing sense of smell to follow a female's unique chemical trail, her pheromones, through all that darkness. When he finally finds her, he bites down hard and just latches on for dear life. And that's when the real magic, or maybe horror, begins. Their skin and their blood vessels literally merge together. They become one organism. He's now a part of her, getting all his food directly from her blood. And because he doesn't need his own gear anymore, his other parts, his eyes, his fins, even some of his own organs, they just atrophy. They wither away.
And this is his final form. He basically becomes a living, breathing sperm factory for the female, ready to go whenever she is. He's totally dependent on her, and in return, she's got a guaranteed mate for life. No more searching in the dark.
And look, if all this sounds completely unbelievable, you are not alone. The scientists who first figured this out, they were just as stunned as we are. Back in 1938, a naturalist named William Beebe wrote that the idea of a fish becoming a brainless, senseless thing is sheer fiction. He thought it was beyond all belief. And he's right. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi novel. But down in the deep sea, it is a brutal, bizarre reality.
So you have to ask, why? Why on earth evolve such an outlandish strategy? Well, this isn't just nature being weird for the sake of being weird. This is a brilliant, if pretty brutal, solution to one of evolution's toughest problems.
This right here is what sexual parasitism is all about. It's the ultimate answer to that question we started with. How do you find a mate in the endless dark?
In that vast emptiness, where the odds of just bumping into someone are practically zero, this strategy ensures that once you find a partner, you never have to look again. It's a reproductive guarantee.
You know what's really fascinating here? This isn't just one single adaptation. It's like a whole cascade of different traits that had to evolve together. Think about it. You need that crazy size difference between the sexes. You need the ability to survive way down in the deep midnight zone. And here's the kicker. You need a way for the female's body not to reject the male as some kind of foreign invader. All of those pieces of the puzzle had to click into place for this whole strategy to even be possible.
You might be thinking this is all just a wild story about a weird fish. But that last piece of the puzzle, the immune system, is what makes the anglerfish surprisingly relevant to, well, to all of us.
But that brings up a really huge question. Let's just think about this for a second. In human medicine, right, if you get an organ transplant, what's the first thing your immune system tries to do? It attacks it. It sees it as a foreign invader. Well, the male anglerfish is basically a permanent, living organ transplant. So why doesn't the female's body reject him?
The answer is absolutely astonishing. To make this whole thing work, they made a massive evolutionary trade-off. These anglerfish essentially lost their adaptive immunity. That's the advanced part of the immune system, the part that makes antibodies to fight off specific foreign things. In order to accept a permanent mate, they had to give up a key part of their body's defenses.
And that right there is why this bizarre deep-sea story actually matters to us. Preventing organ rejection is one of the biggest challenges in modern medicine. So by studying how the anglerfish solved this exact same problem through evolution, scientists are hoping to unlock new insights for our own health. Think about that. This absolutely bizarre love story from the bottom of the ocean could one day help save lives up here on the surface. It's just a perfect reminder, isn't it, that sometimes the most profound discoveries, they come from the absolute strangest places you can imagine.